agents in the state. A possible pause in Ukraine because of extreme cold.
I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kiev and the various towns for a week.
President Trump telling a cabinet meeting the Russian leader agreed, but no confirmation from Russia. America is listening to Fox News.
When it comes to healthcare costs, we often focus on one thing, our insurance premiums. But what if we were only seeing part of the picture? The truth is, our health insurance costs reside downstream at the end of the cost equation. But to really understand what's driving up costs, we need to look upstream to the healthcare system itself. Upstream, there are costs like the prices charged by hospitals and doctors, and the cost of prescription drugs, healthcare administration, and technology. These costs flow downstream directly into your health insurance premium. That's why Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan is advocating for system-wide solutions to address the rising cost of healthcare. Blue Cross knows that healthcare is personal, needs to work for everyone, and affordability matters. And that starts with shedding light on the entire cost equation, from upstream costs to downstream premiums. Want to learn more? Visit mibluedaily.com/affordability.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Meet Lee Platz, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
From the department at Hudson's, bringing you coverage of the Detroit Regional Chamber's 2026 Detroit Policy Conference. This is Focus with Paul W. Smith, with guest host Jeff Caponigro, Tryon Solutions Executive Vice President of Corporate Communications and Marketing, on 760 WJR. Here's Jeff.
Welcome back to Focus on WJR. We're broadcasting live from Detroit Regional Chamber's Detroit Policy Conference inside the beautiful Hudson's Detroit building in downtown Detroit. Now, our next guest is someone who leads one of the most important youth-serving organizations in our region. He's the president and CEO of a nonprofit positively impacting the lives of Detroit children since 1969 through athletic, academic, and leadership development programs. And by the way, it affects 10,000 young people each year. Please welcome to Focus the president and CEO of the Detroit Police Athletic League, PAL, Fred Hunter.
Good. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate that. We all have a very high regard for Detroit PAL.
Thank you,
and
sir.
all you do. For people who may not know, I'm always a big believer in starting from the beginning. Give us a sense of what Detroit PAL does and how it's evolved over the years. You've been with the organization for what, 20 years?
25 years.
25 years. Give us a sense of what PAL does.
Yeah, it started in 1969. So imagine Detroit and the divide there was between the police officers and the community. And what they said is if we focus in on children and work through youth sports, we're going to be able to bridge that divide. So that was the heart of it with the Police Athletic League, starting from that standpoint. And over time, it's grown to be this pillar in the community where, we've reached over 350,000, kids in the programs. But it's the volunteers, it's the staff. It's really integrating the community. Everyone focused in on children. We lead with sports and all the things you get out of sports that are developing the children to become, great citizens in the future. But with enrichment opportunities and that connection with the police, we're able to do some wonderful things in the community.
Yeah, I was going to say it's more than sports, isn't it? It goes way beyond that. To give us a sense of not only that, but I think a strong case could be made that now there's no better time and no more important time to work with youth with so many distractions that are out there with social media, with different problems that a kid could get, even a good kid could end up getting involved in. Tell us about the need and then how it goes beyond sports.
Yeah, it's our mission is helping youth find their greatness. So sports is the tool that we use to be able to do that, because sports brings people together. So regardless of income, regardless of the background, when you're on the baseball diamond, when you're on the football field or the basketball court, you're there together with a mentor and with a coach that's there consistently every practice, every game, teaching you life principles and the things that you need to do, not just to succeed in the sport, but to use the experience with sports to prepare for the future.
Yeah, for sure. We're speaking with the president and CEO of Detroit PAL, Fred Hunter. Fred, you certainly know a lot about sports. You were a walk-on, weren't you, at University of Michigan basketball?
Yes, it was.
Back in the 90s, right? The early 90s?
Yep.
And actually worked your way up. I think this says so much about you and your leadership and your reputation, even at that age, that you were a walk-on and then ended up in your senior year. This, by the way, was during the Fab Five era. During your senior year, you are named a captain of the University of Michigan basketball team. Take us through that and what you learned during that experience that's helped you today, and then maybe what you pass on to the youth that you're working with.
Yeah, a big part of it is dreams can come true. You know, if you stay at it, you keep the vision there, you're willing to put in the work. When opportunities come, you step into those opportunities. It's that mindset and attitude that has carried over, because to have a walk-on, just be able to get on the team, but to be able to start games, to be named the captain, was really just a wonderful experience for me. And then, you know, so many lessons learned from that. It's just that you don't have to put limits on it. If you're willing to bring your best on a daily basis consistently, you know, coach can see that, other players can see that, and that's the same mindset I have now.
So this team, this year's University of Michigan basketball team, is really a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, we've got the big game tomorrow night against Michigan State. But you have to be impressed with Dusty May and what he's doing with the team. Are there any similarities between the Fab Five team and this year's team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of swag, a lot of confidence. When you see the team, you know, either as they're playing or, you know, even after the game and the interviews, there's a bond, but there's this confidence. And the Fab Five did not lack in confidence, you know, on the court. And then just highly skilled players. You know, the core of the top 8, 9 are just all good. So that's a similarity, and they're winning.
And high expectations. They expect they have high standards.
They do.
Right. The thing I like about Dusty May is very sort of high standards, but in a calculated way that he's going to treat you like a mature adult, but you better live up to the standards of University of Michigan basketball.
Yeah,
right.
The standards will not change. You know, he sets them high, and you can come up to the standards, or you don't, and you're not there. So yeah, those standards, and it brings out the best in the players.
Yep.
And that's what Yaxel and others have said. You know, it's an inviting place where he's going to be his best.
So the youngsters that you're dealing with, the teenagers and so on, they self-esteem is so important, isn't it? That they have confidence in themselves. They believe in themselves. They think they can do better. And they can look at someone like you, and you can tell them your story, and it makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, for me to share what I've been through, and that's what the coaches and the mentors do as well. They're able to communicate from their experience to the kids. And, you know, like you were mentioning, just with social media and news, you don't get those positive reinforcements. But to have a coach be able to share what they learned, what they've been through, and pass those lessons on, it's vital. And our kids need that so they can see themselves better, be confident, and then know that whatever future they want to achieve, it's available.
Unfortunately, we were sort of running out of time, but I must say that we always at Tryon love the NFL Alumni Former Players Association Turkey giveaway that we always sponsor every year. That's been at Detroit PAL the last 2 years. And we love that, and you all do a nice job of hosting that. Thank you, Fred. And thank you, Fred, for being on the show. Fred Hunter, President and CEO of Detroit PAL. Thank you so much, and best of luck to all of you, what you're doing there at PAL. On the other side of the break, we're going to hear from the CEO of a major Detroit-based automotive supplier about his outlook for the business and region in 2026 and how his leadership is helping forge bonds between business, community, and government. I'm Jeff Caponigro, filling in today for Paul W. Smith, and you're listening to Focus on WJR.
This weekend is the Troy Home Show at the San Marino Club on Big Beaver. Some of the best home improvement companies in Michigan at the Troy Home Show. See TroyHomeShow.com. And coming up, Downriver Home Show and the new Ann Arbor Home Show. See MichiganHomeshows.com.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app. Finding excuses to not do your taxes? Unsure where to start? Sounds like you may be suffering from FOMO, the fear of messing up. The cure? Filing your federal and state taxes for free using TurboTax on Credit Karma. All you have to do is start and finish filing on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Just keep in mind, this offer is available only if you didn't file with TurboTax last year. It's time to break free from your fear of messing up. Start filing for free today in the Credit Karma app.
The American Red Cross is facing a severe blood shortage. Donors are needed now to make sure patients across the country receive life-saving care. There's no time to wait. Make an appointment today to give blood by using the Blood Donor app, visiting redcrossblood.org, or calling 1-800-RED-CROSS to schedule your donation.
760 WJR and the Detroit Economic Club are pleased to welcome Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to our podium Thursday, February 5th at the Masonic Temple in Detroit. She'll share powerful stories from her rise in politics as well as those of paradigm shifters throughout history to demonstrate how we're all purposeful warriors who have power to define a better world. Catch Focus noon till 2 as we broadcast live. Special coverage is sponsored by DFCU Financial. For tickets and more information, visit econclub.org. WJR welcomes the Blue Man Group back to the Motor City. See them when they bring their global smash hit Bluevolution tour to the Fox Theater with 4 performances February 20th through the 22nd. Rock, laugh, and party as 3 bald and blue characters explore the world and discover music, comedy, and surprises at every turn. You could win tickets. Text keyword BLUE to 800-859-0957. Sponsored by 313 Presents. Official rules at WJR.com. Tickets available for purchase at Ticketmaster.
Let's breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Exhale very slowly. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
Every day, unsung heroes are transforming our neighborhoods. And 760 WJR's Michigan Voices with me, Marie Osborne, is here to tell their stories. But we need your help to find them. Do you know a local nonprofit or other community organization making an impact? Help us shine a spotlight on their work. Email the details to michiganvoices@wjr.com. Let's join forces to amplify the people building a better Michigan. Michigan Voices, Sunday mornings at 5:30, only on 760 WJR.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Who wouldn't love a night of laughter with a purpose? Join the Salvation Army of Metro Detroit February 11th at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle for Comedy for a Cause, featuring comedian Paul Mercurio. Tickets are just $60 with proceeds benefiting the Bed and Bread program, helping Detroiters in need. Buy tickets today at sametrodetroit.org. And don't forget to catch the Salvation Army's 39th Annual Bed and Bread Club Radiothon on February 26th and 27th on 760 WJR.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
WJR Traffic and Weather First is sponsored by the Construction Association of Michigan. CAM has been helping commercial and industrial contractors and suppliers grow since 1885. Claim your free ticket for the Great Lakes Design and Construction Expo at the Vibe Credit Union Showplace, happening February 3rd. For details, visit buildwithcam.com. That's buildwithcam.com. We have a disabled vehicle on I-75 southbound, the on-ramp from Dearborn Street. I-69 eastbound has reopened between M19 and Wales Center Road. That wreck on 75 northbound after Holbrook Street is cleared. Same goes for that accident on Middle Belt at Ford Road. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
The frigid air staying in place will continue to push numbers below 20 degrees for the next few days. Upper teens today with increasing clouds. Tonight, some clouds around will hover down into the single digits below zero. Wind chills will make it feel even colder. Sunny as we wrap up the week Friday, highs will be just above 10 degrees, with below zero readings once again at night, and then Saturday, partly sunny in the upper teens. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
Kick back with Lomas Brown and Anthony Bellino. An hour of smart, fun, Detroit-style sports talk. Insight, interviews, and laughs. Everything you need to stay in the game on Sports Wrap. 6 to 7 p.m. on 760 WJR. You're listening to Focus on WJR. It's the Detroit Regional Chamber's Detroit Policy Conference. Once again from the department at the new Hudson's Tower. Here's guest host Jeff Caponigro.
Welcome back to Focus on WJR. Our next guest leads one of the most significant automotive suppliers in Detroit and the state of Michigan. A company that is based in Detroit, has been for over 2 decades in a multi-facility operation with more than 2,000 employees. It specializes in interior seating systems and supply chain solutions, and has earned a strong reputation for innovation, quality, and its community and business partnerships. It is a real pleasure to welcome the president and CEO of Bridgewater Interiors, Ron Hall Jr.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here, Ron. Appreciate it very much. Let's start off, Ron, giving our listeners sort of an overview and maybe how Bridgewater Interiors started by your father.
It was.
Ron Hall Sr. And take us through that with your father starting it in 1998, you taking over as CEO in 2015. Take us back to the early days.
Well, at the time, he was the president and CEO at the Michigan Minority Business Development Council, and was widely credited for growing that council into the most prominent one in the national network. It was a time of, significant attention and growth from the automakers in particular, to having inclusive and diverse supply chains. And as I understand it, the organization grew exponentially during those years. He was there for 6 or 7 years in the 90s, and then got an opportunity to come back into the private sector. He had been an entrepreneur previously after starting his career out of college at Ford Motor Company. He was at Ford for the first 15 years of his career. Came back into the private sector, as you said, to form the Bridgewater Interiors joint venture, reluctantly, which, I smile about now, but I remember the conversation around the table with his partners and advisors from the business community here in town, and how reluctant he was, because he felt like, he had really hit his stride. He was really happy in the economic development sector, which is essentially what MMBDC was about. But things worked out.
I think I've mentioned to you before that I remember my dad, Ralph Caponigro, who was the chief financial officer at the Stroh Brewery Company for 33 years, always saying nice things about your dad.
Oh, that's very kind.
I think they really liked each other, and they and I remember him always telling me good things. So I think I mentioned that to you a couple of years ago when I saw you, that your dad was highly regarded.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's been gone for it'll be 10 years in June, and I still have conversations like this. There are comments such as you just offered. People walk up to me, especially at events like this, all the time, and have a story about how dad helped them along or introduced them to somebody or showed them where to go get capital for a business idea. And that people remember that and are appreciative of it so many years after he's gone is very warming. And as you would imagine, also very motivating for me.
So absolutely. So how did it start with the product itself, the manufacturing itself? Did he start with the seating components or other types of materials? How did that evolve?
Right. At the time, a man named John Barth was heading the automotive systems group at Johnson Controls. At that time, JCI was a 3 operational division mini conglomerate that had gotten huge in the auto supplier space in fairly short order, in about 15 years. And Mr. Barth was vice chair at the MMBDC. Harold Kuttner, another name you may know, was head of purchasing at General Motors. And there was a lot of discussion about the stall that had occurred in the supplier diversity development movement. A lot of people, even Detroiters, don't know that it's the Detroit automakers. It's General Motors and it's Ford Motor Company in particular, followed slightly later by what was then Chrysler Corporation, who championed supplier diversity in the corporate sector in the United States. For a long time, the only members or the vast majority of the members of the $1 billion roundtable, corporations that spend more than $1 billion a year in their procurement chains with diverse firms, were the automakers and defense contractors. That has changed. It's a much more consumer-facing sector now. But at that time, Mr. Kuttner was determined that this stall, where they had a lot of firms that were small, but having trouble accessing the kind of capital it takes to scale up into the manufacturing space, that was not happening in the sector. He wanted it to happen. Mr. Barth was also a champion in the space, volunteered essentially to form a business partnership that for a firm that could become MBE certified and essentially mentor a firm into the space. And so that's what happened. And so JCI was in seating. And so that's what the product was.
Well, we only have a few minutes here. I want to talk about the fact that you are a West Point grad.
I am.
So you and now you've been the CEO since 2015. How do you have used what you learned from your dad? We're talking about great schooling. You learned from your dad, and you learned at West Point. That's probably the secret of what has made your company so successful today. But give us a sense of how that translates and is conveyed in your business that you have today.
Well, for sure, the secret of what makes the company successful is the people who assemble the product every day. Just-in-time manufacturing is highly choreographed, and it's almost difficult to express how much teamwork and effort it takes for several hundred people on any given car program to make it happen every day, day in and day out at a high quality level. So I want to make sure I give that credit where it's due. But yes, my West Point experience was one of the great privileges of my life. I often say that the military was teaching servant leadership before it was a corporate buzzword. And I like to think that that I've incorporated a lot of those teachings through my career and that they've been helpful to me at the company. And my father was absolutely about that as well, as you said.
In about 30 seconds, if you can, give us a sense of what you're attempting to accomplish here at the Detroit Policy Conference in terms of what the takeaway you're getting and what you want the takeaway about Bridgewater Interiors to be with the people you're talking with?
I'm a big believer that business leaders in the community need to be involved civically. I'm very pleased. You've talked a lot about my dad, that our company has always been about that. Not just me and him, but other senior leaders at the company have always done a lot of civic and charitable work. It's a privilege to represent the employees at the company doing this kind of stuff. And I very much enjoy contributing to these conversations. I'm on the board at the chamber and try to attend every year.
It's been a great pleasure. You're one of my favorite people.
That's very
President and
kind of you.
CEO of Bridgewater Interiors, Ron Hall Jr. Thanks, Ron, for being on the
Thank you
show.
again so
Really
much for
appreciate
having
it.
me. Thank
As we continue live from the Detroit Regional Chamber's Detroit Policy Conference, when we come back from a short break, we're going to turn our attention to a uniquely Detroit story where entrepreneurship, creativity, and social impact all come together to create opportunities and change lives. You're listening to Focus on the great voice of the Great Lakes.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
The American Red Cross is facing a severe blood shortage. Donors are needed now to make sure patients across the country receive life-saving care. There's no time to wait. Make an appointment today to give blood by using the Blood Donor app, visiting redcrossblood.org, or calling 1-800-RED-CROSS to schedule your donation.
The CJ Pearson Show.
Every week, we'll take on the biggest cultural, political, and moral battles in America head on.
CJ presents the most passionate voices in the Black community.
When you're going around and talking to people in actual communities, you get to know what people actually care about.
As a Black man, why can't I be the first one in my family to graduate from college? Why can't it be me? Shift the way that I think about the world.
Bold truth, real conviction, zero permission. This is the CJ Pearson Show.
The CJ Pearson Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Let's breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Exhale very slowly. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Weekday mornings, it's veteran storyteller and award-winning journalist Kevin Dietz.
Smart, fun, and informative.
All talk.
We start with a heartfelt monologue to get you thinking and then dig deep into the stories you care about.
Kevin talks, and then you talk.
We open the phone line so you can join the conversation.
On All Talk.
There are no talking points. We think for ourselves and form our own opinions.
All Talk, 9 a.m. to noon with Kevin Dietz on 760 WJR. From the department at Hudson's, bringing you coverage of the Detroit Regional Chambers 2026 Detroit Policy Conference. This is Focus with Paul W. Smith, with guest host Jeff Caponigro, Tryon Solutions Executive Vice President of Corporate Communications and Marketing, on 760 WJR. Here's Jeff.
Jeff Caponigro here, and welcome back to WJR's Focus. Our next guest is part of an inspiring movement showing how business, creativity, and social purpose can reshape communities and change lives for the better. Her entrepreneurial spirit and talents have created jobs and pathways forward for women while putting authentic Detroit craftsmanship on the national stage. She was recently named a Detroiter of the Year by Our Detroit magazine, and for very good reason. The company is Rebel Now, and the co-founder and CEO is with us today, Amy Peterson. Welcome to Focus, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. That was quite an intro. I appreciate it.
Well, you deserve it. You're we were saying before we started that how impressive your product line. You have much more a better story, and we'll get into the story itself and what you do with women and what you do, how you came up with the idea. But it's very impressive. In fact, why don't we start there?
Okay.
Give us a sense of how you came up with the idea. I'm not sure everyone knows even the Rebel Nell name and how you came up with the Rebel Nell name, how you came up with this idea of finding. I'll let you tell the story. Okay?
I mean, you're doing great. You might get hired by the end of this interview. So it was, what brought me to Detroit was pursuing a dream. I was here working for the Tigers. I always wanted to work in baseball. And at the time I was living next door to a well-known shelter in the area called COTS. And I would often take walks on the DeQuinter Cut. I could see, we also have to put perspective. This is part of like the character of the story that I often leave out was this is 2012, 2013. Detroit was in the midst of one of the nation's largest municipal bankruptcies ever, right? And so it just looked different. The resources that were there for my neighbors who were at COTS were visibly disappearing. And this really just kind of inspired me to say, what if I could create a company that was dedicated to uplifting and empowering women? And that thought came to be. It was mission first, and then we had to come up with a product. And at the time, there was graffiti was an abundant local resource in the city, and we kind of just put two and two together of how can we preserve these layers. And I think there's a lot of symbolism in what we do as well in turning this repurposed jewelry or repurposed fallen street art into iconic jewelry through the work that we do at Rebel Now.
Because you're doing the same thing in transforming lives, right?
Exactly. And these pieces are discarded. And so often society discards these women or judges them for so many times it's things that are out of their control. And that saddens me. But, just like with these chips of paint, we give them a little love and give them, the ability to shine how beautiful our pieces become. And that's the same with the women I'm fortunate enough to serve through Rebel Now.
And the name, how did you come up with the Rebel Now?
So I wanted to pay tribute to a woman who was a trailblazer. At the time, my business partner and I both had an affinity for Eleanor Roosevelt. And she was a legend, a true humanitarian civil rights activist, women's rights advocate, and her dad called her Little Nell. I thought she deserved a more badass nickname. That's how we got Rebel Nell. We truly believe that every woman who walks through our doors is rebelling in some way, shape, or form too. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I am amazed by the quality of the product at rebelnell.com and other places, and you have your retail outlet.
Yes.
And to turn something, like you said, something that was discarded, something that, how could you even tell by looking at this rock or whatever it might be, that you could turn that into a piece of jewelry and to know how to do that. That's pretty amazing.
Thanks. I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. Seeing the chip itself was served as the inspiration, and also, Detroit too. I was also frustrated with how Detroit was being portrayed in the media at that point in time, where this is a city that gave me a shot at my dream. And so to to see all the layers that made up that particular chunk, just like all the incredible layers that make up the city of Detroit, the people here, the culture, the history, how could we preserve it in that way? And it took us a while. I have some of the original pieces still at our where we manufacture in Eastern Market, and they're pretty hilariously bad. They're really bad.
So you've gotten really good at it
We've
over the years.
gotten really good at it, and I give the women get more credit
Right.
than I should for how we've evolved over the years.
And now you're expanding in Grand Rapids?
Yes, we just opened in Grand Rapids in the fall. And yeah, looking forward to sharing more about who we are and what we do with other people.
So what's the vision in terms of expanding nationally, getting more sales, spreading the word nationally, and that kind of thing? What's the vision for, say, 10 years from now?
For 10 years from now, I really hope that we have gone to a place where we've really grown our market share in the Michigan area, but we've also been able to expand into 3 or 4 other states doing something similar. Our retail spaces are not only great for buying the jewelry, but we also host a ton of events and experiences. You can come in and design your own piece. We're leaning a lot into experiential retail with these unique spaces. So that's really how I see us growing. But then also from a national perspective of getting bigger deals, like with the league deal, I'd love to get tied in with the women's sports movement that's happening here and being able to preserve all of the unique history that they're writing as we're watching it too. So it's been fun.
Maybe with a new WNBA team.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there because that's also what we do. So we've done different collaborations from when they were tearing down the Joe Louis to vinyl from Comerica Park. The Lions gave us these jackets that they used to wear at Briggs Stadium. One of my favorite collections is when they were renovating the Motown Museum and they found these warped heart-shaped red records that Berry Gordy had made for his father. We're not taking the stuff that's museum quality. We're taking the stuff that has so much meaning and memory, but isn't quite, tip-top shape for preservation. That's kind of our sweet spot.
Right. You must have dozens of stories of how you've helped transform women's lives from somebody who may have felt discarded at some point, may have had some real challenges, probably thought that they could never conquer those challenges, and today gainfully employed, doing well, feeling really good about themselves. You must have dozens of stories like that.
I do. I'm really fortunate. I'm very grateful to do the work. I think, we do track a lot of different metrics, but the one of the ones I'm most proud of is that we've hired 50 women out of the shelter, but not a single one of those women has returned back into shelter living. And that I'm really proud of. And we've impacted the lives of more than 400 people, if you count their kids and family members. And I know that we've just scratch the surface. Like there's so much more work for us to do. But to your point of what was fascinating for me is, yes, we provide like a lot of supportive services while they're working with us. But one of the most transformative is truly comes in the jewelry making, which initially when I first started the company, I didn't give that much credit. But when they create something that's beautiful and they had a vision for, how empowering and powerful is it when somebody purchases that and says, I believe in you. I believe in what you just made. I want to wear it myself. So that has been the biggest transformation.
It's almost a combination of I'm a craftsman, but I'm also an artist, and almost like as if I were to paint something, and they're like, I didn't even know I had that talent.
Exactly, and you nailed it. That's exactly what it is. Is that so much of it is just losing confidence along the way. And if we're able to restore a little bit of that while they're with us at Rebel Nell, then that's an important part of our role that we play.
For sure. Well, you do such a fabulous job. You should be very proud. I know you are, and rightfully so, of everything that you've done. But I bet in a way it feels like it's only just started.
Very much so.
Because you've got the country to conquer. Right?
Yes. I have big dreams. Yeah, I do.
Right. So you're doing a fabulous job. So thank you very much, Rebel Nell owner, co-founder, owner and president and CEO, Amy Peterson. So thank you, Amy,
Thank
for
you,
being
Jeff.
on Focus. Coming up after a short break is one of the most celebrated, legendary, and iconic names in Detroit sports history. He's going to tell us about something that you probably don't know, because I didn't know it until a few weeks ago either. The business enterprise he's growing here in Michigan and the strong partnerships his company is establishing in the auto industry and elsewhere. We'll be back in a few minutes with that surprise guest. This is Jeff Caponigro. You're listening to Focus on WJR.
Hi friends, Bill Golly here, and January means Auto Show here in Detroit. It's also time for New Year's resolutions and our Start Something New sales event at Golling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Right now, qualified Chrysler employees with lease loyalty can lease a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 for just $349 a month. Leases for 39 months, 10,000 miles a year with $2,000 down, plus tax title plates and dock car extra. That's Golling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bloomfield Hills, Chelsea, Roseville, and our newest location on Mac in Detroit or at Golling.com.
This weekend is the Troy Home Show at the San Marino Club on Big Beaver. Some of the best home improvement companies in Michigan at the Troy Home Show. See TroyHomeShow.com. And coming up, Downriver Home Show and the new Ann Arbor Home Show. See MichiganHomeshows.com.
Catch From Glory Days, Veterans Edition, sponsored by VetLife, every Sunday at 6 a.m. Inspirational stories about our veterans as they transition from military service to civilian life. More Glory Days Veterans Editions every Sunday at 6 a.m. on 760 WJR.
Finding excuses to not do your taxes? Well, you can start today and file for free with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. Just file on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th and you'll pay $0. Start filing for free today. Offer only for those who didn't file with TurboTax last year.
Imagine this. You're gliding down a peaceful river past sun-drenched vineyards and centuries-old villages. Welcome to Portugal's Douro River, one of Europe's most beautiful and relaxing cruises. Hey, it's Kevin Dietz. I'm heading to Portugal in July 2026, and you are invited. We'll spend a night in Lisbon exploring this stunning capital before boarding our river cruise ship to visit charming towns, enjoy authentic Portuguese cuisine, and sip world-famous port wine right where it's made. No rushing, no crowds, just breathtaking views, warm hospitality, and time to truly unwind. This trip is perfect for travelers who love culture, scenery, and a slower pace. Whether you're celebrating retirement, an anniversary, or simply ready for your next adventure, Portugal's Douro River is calling. Visit WJRTravelClub.com for complete details or to reserve your cabin, call 800-383-3131 today.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
WJR welcomes the Blue Man Group back to the Motor City. See them when they bring their global smash hit Bluevolution tour to the Fox Theater with 4 performances February 20th through the 22nd. Rock, laugh, and party as 3 bald and blue characters explore the world and discover music, comedy, and surprises at every turn. You could win tickets. Text keyword blue to 800-859-0957. Sponsored by 313 Presents. Official rules at WJR.com. Tickets available for purchase at Ticketmaster.
Every day, unsung heroes are transforming our neighborhoods. And 760 WJR's Michigan Voices with me, Marie Osborne, is here to tell their stories. But we need your help to find them. Do you know a local nonprofit or other community organization making an impact? Help us shine a spotlight on their work. Email the details to MichiganVoices@WJR.com. Let's join forces to amplify the people building a better Michigan. Michigan Voices, Sunday mornings at 5:30, only on 760 WJR.
760 WJR and the Detroit Economic Club are pleased to welcome Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to our podium Thursday, February 5th at the Masonic Temple in Detroit. She'll share powerful stories from her rise in politics as well as those of paradigm shifters throughout history to demonstrate how we're all purposeful warriors who have power to define a better world. Catch Focus noon till 2 as we broadcast live.
Special coverage is sponsored by DFCU Financial. For tickets and more information, visit econclub.org.
Well, it's wintertime out there, and this is the time of year we get some very specific emails at theinsideoutsideguys.com. Like, why can't I keep my home warm?
Or why are my windows full of condensation? Ken and I have answers to all of those things, and most of them are found in the experts that we refer to people.
We'll give you advice, but if the advice doesn't help, we have great professionals at the Inside Outside Guys. No matter what time of year it is, for housing information you can trust, go to theinsideoutsideguys.com.
Sponsored by Pure Air Michigan.
Think you might have mold? Maybe your family is always fighting off unexplained illnesses. Air quality testing can be quick and affordable with Pure Air Michigan. Their certified professionals help identify air quality concerns and explain what the results mean. Using a patented dry fog process and EPA-registered solutions, Pure Air Michigan treats air and surfaces throughout the entire space, often without major tear-outs and with minimal downtime. Learn more at pureairmichigan.com or call today at 586-220-5528.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian Sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Pick some up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your local store. Football and King's Irresistible Hawaiian Sliders. There's nothing like it.
I-275 northbound, you're on ramp from 6 Mile. We have a blocked vehicle there. It's actually on fire. Please avoid that area if you can. Police activity blocking your right lane on I-275 northbound after 6 Mile as well. We have a disabled vehicle on the I-75 southbound on-ramp from Dearborn Street. Looks like you can still get through. It's just going to slow you down a little bit. And I-69 westbound between Wales Center Road and M19 closed due to another vehicle fire. There's an RV that's still ablaze there. Please avoid that area if you can. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
Good news is that no more precipitation with the cold air. The bad news is the cold air is getting even colder, as we're seeing here this morning. Believe it or not, next couple of mornings even colder. We'll go through the day with increasing clouds. 15 tonight, single digits below zero. Coldest readings outside of town. Tomorrow about 12, mostly sunny. And then below zero again tomorrow night. Setting us up for a chilly Saturday, but slightly better. Partly sunny upper teens. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stagicon, 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
Call us or text us. The number's the same. 1-800-859-0957. 1-800-859-WJR. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto Accident Attorneys. Visit autolaw.com. That's autolaw.com. You're listening to Focus on WJR. It's the Detroit Regional Chamber's Detroit Policy Conference. Once again from the department at the new Hudson's Tower. Here's guest host Jeff Caponigro.
Welcome back to Focus on WJR. I am Jeff Caponigro, and I am really excited about our next guest. He's one of the most recognizable, accomplished, and influential figures in the history of Detroit sports, a legend whose impact has always gone far beyond the game itself. As a player, he's helped define an era, leading a team that became a symbol of toughness, excellence, and championships in this city. As a television analyst, coach, executive, and entrepreneur, he always impresses with his leadership and abilities. Today, he's bringing that same drive and vision into the business world, growing a Michigan-based enterprise and creating new partnerships for his company's growth. Let's welcome to Focus two-time NBA champion with the Detroit Pistons, 12-time All-Star, Finals MVP, NBA Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest point guards the game has ever seen, Isaiah Thomas. Thanks for being with us, Isaiah.
Hey, thank you for having me, and thank you for that great introduction. I think I'll leave now.
Well, you deserve it, and you're that and much more for sure. But Isaiah, before we get into your business work, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear about that, we'd love to get your take on the current Detroit Pistons team with its 34-11 record and leading the Eastern Conference by 5.5 games. How do you feel about the current Detroit Pistons team?
I love the culture that they reignited with, or they've kind of gone back and really, I would say dug into, the Detroit culture, our Piston culture, and tried to understand it and live it with the discipline, the accountability, coming to work every day, and just making sure that every time a fan pays his or her money to sit in that seat, they get their money's worth by the effort that's put out on the floor. And I love the way the team is playing. I love what Tom Gorse has done. His not only his patience but his resilience to get it right and to make it right and to really just be about winning and be about reestablishing the culture of Detroit Pistons basketball.
Well, and I know many have compared this year's team to your Bad Boys era. Is that how do you feel about that comparison? Is that sacrilegious, or are you okay with it?
No, I'm okay with it because you're not comparing the players, you're comparing the culture, right? And the culture is about hard work, about discipline, about sacrifice, playing with toughness, and playing together. Those are the things that define us. Those traditions, the language, the habits that we brought to the court every day. That's what defines us, and that's what the current Pistons are all about right now.
Right. Okay. That's awesome. We're excited about the Pistons. People are obviously still love the Bad Boys era, but let's talk business. Let's talk about the fact that you purchased and invested in a Michigan-based company that a lot of us had probably had no idea that you were involved in, and when I heard about it, I was like very impressed and excited about a company that you had bought in Midland, Michigan. And correct me if I'm wrong, Isaiah, and I obviously would like you to tell the story, but a company formerly called One World Products is now called or transitioning to Isaiah Enterprises, with a focus that includes rubber compounds and emerging biocomposites, which are really the future of sustainable manufacturing in the auto industry, consumer packaging, and other industries. Tell us about your company and what you're doing to grow this business enterprise in the state of Michigan.
Well, as you said, it's a Michigan-based manufacturing materials company. We purchased our plant in Midland. We sit right next to Dow Mobility, and we work with in the packaging space, and we also work in the automotive space. And what we do is we're taking sustainable materials, biofeed materials, rice, corn, soy, and we also pelletizing rubber. Things that were normally going to the landfills. We're taking it and making very usable, sustainable materials out of it. And a lot of the things that we are producing and making will replace some of the plastics and the carbon that's in the atmosphere, and replacing some of the plastics in the automobile space, replacing plastics in some of the packaging spaces is what we'll be able to use our biofeed and our specialized micronized pellets for, that can go into any type of machine to produce the type of, I guess you would call, plastic products that you have now. We will use biofeed material to replicate some of the same plastic materials that you're using right now.
And Isaiah, isn't that really the future of manufacturing? I understand the global automotive lightweight materials market. It's projected to exceed $150 billion by 2030, which is only a few years away, all driven by weight reduction, sustainability mandates, and electrification trends. Isn't that where the future of manufacturing is going? And for you to get in with a company of like this, where you're establishing partnerships, is magnificent.
That is exactly where the future is going to be, and we'll need leaders pushing that future and coming up with the vision and new ways to interact with different materials that can go into the automotive space But the most important thing is you also want to be cost competitive in this space. While we want to make sure that you have the proper amount of product to move into each industry, the automotive space and the packaging space, while there are, looking out and taking care of the environment, there's also a cost neutrality that comes along with that. And that's what we're trying to get to, where we can give you cost neutrality to replace some of the plastics that are going into the atmosphere, but not necessarily have the automotive and the packaging companies have to take on so much of the cost burden to improve sustainability efforts.
Well, Isaiah, all of that is exciting. I wish we had an hour to talk with you. We've been speaking with Detroit Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas about his new company in Michigan. And did I hear, Isaiah, that the corporate headquarters is in Troy? Is that correct?
Yeah, offices are in Troy,
Nice.
and also, the plant is again in Midland, Michigan. Eco Bioplastics. We're publicly traded right now on the OTC, and our symbol is OWPC. Again, which will be changing, transitioning to Isaiah Enterprises. So we're in the middle of a turnaround, and it was a company that was headed towards bankruptcy. It was an R&D company, and we turned it around, and now.
And Isaiah, we've got to break for the news, unfortunately. But Isaiah,
Well,
thank
do
you
your
so
thing.
much for being on the program on Focus. You are a legend, and we are all excited about your company, and best of luck. So up next on WJR is Ryan Armani, and thank you for being here. I'm Jeff Caponigro. Thanks again for listening to Focus on WJR, and have an amazing day.
Progressive Commercial knows truckers can expect